If you want to get your finances organized, this video is for you. I have 16 tips or small habits that I personally utilize in my own financial life, and these tips help me save time, save money, and just stay organized. For those new here, hello and welcome. My name is Lissa. I'm a personal finance expert, an accredited financial counselor, and the co-host of NetNet Podcast, where we talk about hidden costs and help you navigate every financial decision in life. Check out the podcast and let me know what you guys think. Now, before I jump into that list of 16 small habits and tips, real quick, you do not have to do all of these or any of these. Personal finance truly is personal, so if you have your own preferences on how to do things, if you have better systems to approach the different aspects of finances, then use your own methods. And if you want, share them in the comments to help me and to help everyone else, because I think the more we share with each other, the more options we have to manage our finances. I'm simply sharing this list on things that I currently do in case it sparks some ideas and helps you with your own finances. So, all that said, let's jump to the list. I've split these tips up into a few categories: bills, expenses, bank accounts, taxes, and credit cards. And there are so many other areas of finance. So if you want me to do a part 2, let me know in the comments and we can tackle other areas of finance. So let's start with bill management. Tip number 1, move from paper to digital. Anytime a new bill or statement or anything comes in the mail, I'll handle the bill by paying it, but then I will also go online and opt in for paperless statements moving forward. I think it's just way too easy to lose stuff in the mail, to not keep track of papers, and in my opinion, having digital copies are the easiest way to stay organized in that regard. But a lot of times, different companies, depending on what it is, are gonna start out by sending you paper bills. So something I do as a matter of habit is just as new paper bills come in, I make sure to switch them to digital. All right, tip number 2 on bills. I write paid on blank on the bill. So if I do get a bill in the mail that's a paper bill and I go ahead and pay it online or with a check, does anyone use checks anymore? I will write paid on the actual bill with the amount that I paid and the date, just to remind myself so that if that paper is sitting there on my desk, I don't go and pay it again. So this seems like a very minor thing, but trust me, it has saved me a lot of time, because in the past, when I didn't do this, I would forget if I paid something, and I wouldn't necessarily pay it twice, but I would go into that account and I'd have to check, like, wait, did I pay this? And then I'd be like, oh, okay, I've already paid it, I don't have to do it again. But that takes time, right? Like, every minute adds up. So that little step of just writing down paid helps me not have to do that. All right, tip number 3 on getting organized: using a filing cabinet. So as much as I would like to go fully digital on all of my papers and financial papers specifically, I do need a place to store the stuff that is not digital. I need a place to store stuff until it's safe to get rid of them. So if you don't already have some kind of system at your house, some kind of corner, folder, filing cabinet, then this is a very small thing you can do, but get one. Which leads me to number 4, another thing that I do, a small habit that I have with my finances, is to use a paper shredder. So once I have paid a bill and I've either scanned it so that I have a digital copy, or I've just confirmed that I have copies online, like in my email or a PDF copy, then I will go ahead and shred those papers to declutter my space. I feel like this helps me stay organized because, again, paper is just, it can get all over the place and it can cause paper cuts. So I make sure that I have a paper shredder where I can get rid of those documents that I no longer need. All right, let's move on to the next category of getting your finances organized with small habits: expenses. Expense management. So the number 5 tip on my list is to track recurring expenses on calendar. I actually have a whole video on getting organized with your finances using your calendar, but this is one of those tips. And that is if I have a monthly recurring expense that is due on the same date every month, so think Netflix or your phone bill, I put a calendar entry on the day that it's due along with a reminder. Now, some things I have on automated payments, so it's already going to get charged on that day every month. But putting it on my calendar still has value. It acts as a reminder for me that tells me, hey, you're paying for this every 8th of the month. Don't forget about it, because a lot of times nowadays with subscriptions, we forget what we are paying for. So it's just that reminder for me. Now, for things that I don't pay automatically that still get charged every month, this calendar notification acts as a backup. I still will get a bill in my email or maybe a paper bill in the mail, which will remind me to pay that bill. But this calendar reminder acts as a backup in case I don't check my mail or I miss it in my email. So I like having all of my due dates, especially the recurring ones, in my calendar. All right, another small habit you can have to manage your expenses. Number 6, use an app. To track all of my expenses, I use a budgeting app. I specifically use YNAB, which stands for You Need a Budget. Now, this is a paid app and it might not work for everyone. For me personally, I love the method and I think it's a great way to track all of my expenses across all of my credit cards and bank accounts. I think some people, especially those of you who have very few expenses and a very simple financial life, you could probably get away with a spreadsheet or some other manual way of tracking your expenses. But for everyone else, for your sanity, I would recommend using an app of some sort. It doesn't have to be YNAB, just something that is going to help you track your expenses across all of your accounts. Number 7, another small habit that I do to stay organized with my expenses, I unsubscribe to emails. Now, I know not everyone keeps a clean email inbox. I know a lot of people have like tens of thousands of unread messages. Personally, I do, because it helps me manage so many things in my life a lot better, just knowing I have a handle on my email inbox. So for me personally, when I receive emails from brands or companies that are trying to sell me stuff, and I know that I don't want or need these things on any regular basis, I make sure to unsubscribe from those emails. I just think that we're all exposed to so many advertisements as it is, that for me, if it's not helpful to me on a regular basis, I'm just gonna unsubscribe. Number 8, another habit that I use in managing my finances, I set up Gmail filters. So I use Gmail as my email platform. And contrary to what I said in tip number 7 about unsubscribing to emails, there are actually some companies whose emails that I like. I enjoy getting deals and offers and coupon codes. The key differentiator is these are things that already fit into my regular expenses. So it's not like I keep getting emails and emails that are convincing me to buy things I don't need. And especially if I had a bad spending habit, it would be all bad. But an example is Sephora. I subscribe to Sephora's email list and they do send a lot of emails as well as deals, but personally, I don't want to be sent emails every day showing me all these products that I'm gonna end up wanting, but I don't necessarily need. So in order to stay subscribed to these emails and potentially have deals and offers when I need them, I instead set up Gmail filters so that these emails skip my inbox altogether. So I group them into a label for deals and offers so that if I ever want to purchase something or if I know I'm gonna go to the store, I will check first to see if there's a deal or a coupon that I can use. All right, number 9, we're still in the expense category. Small habit and tip number 9, do quarterly audits. This is something that I do every few months, and this is on top of the expense tracking that I do in my app. But I'm specifically looking at what subscriptions or expenses am I paying for that I don't really use? Like, what am I paying for that is not adding value to my life? It tends to happen, right? Because we're busy people. We might pay for TV subscriptions that we want and we think we're going to use a lot, but then a couple months go by where we had no time to watch TV. And that's when you want to kind of think about, should I pause that or cancel it? So I find myself doing this pretty often, and I end up saving a lot of money in doing this audit. For example, there was a time where I hadn't used my Peloton for a few months because I was traveling, and then even when I was in town, I was focusing on other types of workouts. So when I realized I wasn't using it enough, I decided to cancel my subscription. So months and months went by, and then I finally decided, all right, I want to start cycling again, and so I renewed my membership. But just doing that audit alone and not letting myself pay for this thing that I wasn't using, I ended up saving a couple $100s. All right, let's move on with the list and let's go into this next category, which relates to banking and bank account management. So tip number 10, small habit number 10, is avoid monthly maintenance fees. So depending on where you bank, sometimes there are fees to have an account like a checking account. Most places will have different ways that you can avoid being charged those fees. There are requirements that if you meet them, you can get that fee waived. Sometimes this fee can be waived by holding a minimum balance. The thing is, you have to hold that minimum balance the entire month. It can never drop below it. Or you can have a certain amount direct deposited to that account each month. Now, there are other ways to waive that fee, but those are kind of two of the main ways. So for me, in my personal situation, because I have two different checking accounts that have fees and I want to make sure I avoid them both, I make sure that my regular paycheck is split between the two in a way that meets the requirement for both of them. I could obviously, of course, just make sure I have the minimum balance in both of those accounts. But for me personally right now, I'm not holding a lot of cash in my checking accounts because I'm actually not paying myself a lot out of my business. So the easier way for me to avoid those fees is by having this direct deposit. So it's a small thing, but it's an easy win if you can avoid all monthly maintenance fees on your checking accounts. All right, number 11. Another small habit that I do on my bank account management is I will call a bank to reverse fees. So once in a while, and this didn't happen for a really long time, but it has happened to me in the last year or so, once in a while, I do get charged a monthly maintenance fee. So like I mentioned earlier, if you don't have a direct deposit set up or if you don't maintain that minimum balance, you might be charged a monthly maintenance fee. Depending on where you bank, they can sometimes waive the fees for you. They can sometimes reverse the charges. It really just depends on the bank and what your situation is, but you won't really know unless you ask. So for me, I do my best to avoid these fees, but certain times in my life where I've been in a transition period and I've, accidentally not maintained that minimum balance, I've had a $12 fee charge or a $15 fee. And for me, it's worth it to give a call to your bank, let them know what happened that month, and see if they could just give you a courtesy reversal. My 2 cents on this one though is don't rely on this. Definitely try to set up your finances in a way where you can automatically avoid the fees. But I just want you to know that this is something I've done and that you can do in case you do find yourself in a position where you get charged a fee. It's not always going to get refunded, but you can always ask. All right, number 12 on bank account management. Keep your emergency fund separate. So this is a very small but effective habit that I personally use in my own finances, and it's something that I also use when I coach clients, is I suggest compartmentalizing their emergency funds, both mentally and also when it comes to where you actually keep the money in your accounts. What I tend to see is that when people have one big savings account and it holds their vacation savings, their money they're saving to buy a car, their emergency savings, when it's all in the same place, it gets very easy to dip into that emergency fund and use that money for things that are not emergencies. And then if an emergency comes up, there's no more money to pull from. Now, some bank accounts will allow you to have sub buckets and you can compartmentalize in that way. But if you don't have that, then I just find it very practical to open a new account, preferably a high yield savings account, and use it like a piggy bank. You're gonna put money into it until it's full, until you've maxed out the amount you are saving for an emergency fund, and you don't touch it. You don't break that piggy bank unless it's an emergency. All right, let's keep moving on. This next subsection of the list is tax tracking. Taxes get their own category because they are important. You do not want to get in trouble with the IRS because you failed to track things properly and because you filed your taxes with incorrect information. So here are a couple of small habits I have to help me stay organized when it comes to taxes. Tip number 13, create a digital folder. So for your taxes, you should do this for all of your finances, but definitely for your taxes, pick your favorite cloud-based storage service and create a folder each year to store all of your tax forms and documents. These documents are going to come in handy once it's tax season, whether you file your own taxes or whether you hire a tax professional. It's going to save you so much time to just already have everything in place because you've organized it as it has come in. So anytime you receive a W-2, a 1099, or any other tax-related document, put it in this folder. If you get a paper version sent to you, scan it, take a picture of it, and then put it into this folder. All right, number 14, also related to taxes, track receipts. So in addition to tax forms, there are certain receipts and other expenses that you should track because you might be able to deduct them on your taxes or just utilize them to your advantage in some way. So you want to create a subfolder in your taxes digital folder and start tracking these receipts. Here are some examples of categories that you can look out for, but that would include medical expenses, investment transactions, childcare receipts, real estate and mortgage related documents, student loan payment information, and donations. Now, this is not the full list of things you might want to track, so I recommend doing your own research or talk to a tax professional if you want some more guidance on what types of things you should track, what types of receipts should you be tracking and holding on to throughout the year. All right, we are on the last category and the last couple of tips. If you haven't already, please like this video, especially if you've gotten something out of it so far. I really appreciate it, and my channel really only grows because you guys watch and engage with my channel, and I'm here to help. So I really appreciate everyone, and you helping me helps me help more people. All right, final category, credit cards. Number 15, a small habit, a tip that I do is before I go on a trip, particularly international trips, I basically clean out my wallet. Now, this is partially so that I can pack a little bit lighter and my wallet isn't as heavy, and it can reduce risk in case I lose my wallet or something happens to it. But really what this is about is being strategic about what cards I bring and use when I travel. So if you travel internationally, you want to check to see what credit cards of yours don't have a foreign transaction fee. For me, I have a couple, and those are the only cards that I bring so that I'm not paying additional fees every time I make a purchase outside of the country. So I have 2 different American Express cards that don't charge foreign transaction fees, but I also bring a Visa along with me because most places that I have traveled don't take Amex, at least not in every place. And then on top of that, just another side tip is I always plan to bring at least a little bit of cash in the local currency because you do have to prepare for certain places not accepting cards. So technically that's not unpacking my wallet, but it's just another side tip for preparing and staying organized when it comes to credit cards. All right, final tip on the list, something that I do, a small habit I do with credit cards. Number 16, I add offers to my credit cards. So full disclosure, not all credit cards have this. It depends on whether or not it is a rewards card of some sort and whether or not your particular credit card offers special discounts or cash back. But on some cards require you to add an offer to your card before you can actually qualify for it. It's kind of annoying, but it's something that you want to be aware of. So here is the small habit. Before I go out shopping, or if I know I'm going to make a purchase, especially semi-big purchases, like I recently just bought a new air purifier, I will always first check to see if there is an offer available on one of my credit cards. Now, the very, very important part for me, and hopefully for you as well, is that you don't build a habit of chasing rewards. This means, like, don't go to your credit card and look at all the offers and decide to buy new things that you don't even need because there's an offer there. Because the key to really utilizing offers and actually saving money is only buying things that you were already gonna buy if you didn't know about the offer. Does that make sense? So for me, if I know I'm gonna go buy a new laptop, or I'm gonna go buy a new thing, or even just clothes, I will check first to see if there are any deals related to that store on my card, and I'll make sure to add them to the card. But I've tried to make a good habit out of not just, scanning the offers and convincing myself that I need new things when I don't actually. All right, 16 tips and habits. That was kind of a lot, so I'm gonna stop there. Now, for those of you kind of new to personal finance or just trying to get your finances a little more organized, I know that so many tips can feel overwhelming, but let me just reassure you that for me, a lot of these just happened over time. I didn't just say, all right, I'm gonna incorporate 50 new things into my personal finances all at once. All of these things that I do have been added over time, and because they've become part of my lifestyle, a lot of them just happen naturally. I don't even have to think about it. Like if I travel, I just know to put certain cards in my wallet. Getting organized might feel like a lot, but just know that over time you will be creating systems, and once those systems are in place, you're gonna become way more efficient with your time and money, and it's not gonna require a lot of added effort. I hope this was helpful, and until next time, peace out.